Hey guys, this is your girl Jennifer Lynn, the Crown Jewel, and I am back with another YouTube video. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. So I want to find out from you guys, and this is like all over TikTok right now. So I'm sure everyone has heard about the latest that's going on. I'm not on TikTok. I did find out about this through YouTube, but I'm sure all of you guys know about the Risa Tisa story. And it is like a 52 part, I guess you can call it series episode of her talking about who the F did she marry. That's the title of the videos. Who the F did I marry? And basically it's about a guy that she met online. Like said, I'm sure all of you guys have heard about this. It was a very interesting story. So while I was recovering from my 10-day event, I decided to tune in to all of this. And so it's about a guy that she met online, and she thought that this man was her husband. And it turns out this man was everything but her husband. All the lies that he told, XYZ, it was just really a crazy story. If you guys have not watched it, please check it out. Again, it's titled Who the F Did I Marry? Who TF Did I Marry? That's what it's titled. And so the woman's name is Risa Tisa. If you guys just put in Risa Tisa in YouTube, it will also pop up. But I'm doing this video because for those of you who do not know who your kingdom spouse is, this is why it is so important to be led by the Holy Spirit when it comes to your kingdom spouse. God had given this woman clear signs, and she was given signs in the very beginning, in my opinion, really from day one of meeting him. But she stated that she decided to go on and pursue things with him because she just wanted it to be her time. She felt like God was moving too slow, and she became desperate. And again, when you fall out of line with the will of God and you decide that you're going to become God, you're going to play God, these are the types of results that you can get. And so we've all been guilty of feeling like God has not moved fast enough in the area in our lives, and we decide to take matters into our own hands. And unfortunately, a lot of times we end up going through and enduring things that we did not even have to go through. And so I just, like I said, I'm urging you guys, those of you guys that do not know who your kingdom spouse is, there is there's things that has to fall in place when it comes to a kingdom spouse. One, you have to hear from God. There's actually two stories that's going on right now. So Risa Tisa, she's considered the lead in terms of coming out with stories like this on TikTok. And so I guess this has led other women to kind of come out and talk about their stories where they've been lied to and did in by men. And these were men that they actually married and they thought that were their husbands. And I feel like as women, and even men, some men, we've all have went through things in relationships where a person has lied because they wanted to come off and make it seem like they were more than they actually was. But again, we have to be led by the Holy Spirit. I would love to have some conversation about this, but in the very beginning with Risa Tisa, she was saying how she met this guy online. And I'm going to skip some parts because, like I said, it was a lot. I'm not going to go through the whole story, but I'm just going to go over a couple of key points that stood out for me where this was clear signs that this person was not for her or she was focused on the wrong things. One, when she met the guy in person, and her tire sh- her she her ti she had a tire blowout. And to me, that was a clear sign that God was telling her this is a no before she was going to meet the guy and her tire blew out. To me, I've kind of gotten real big on signs. And so a lot of times God is trying to tug on us and get our attention. Well, she met this guy. He ended up coming to like rescue her, paid for her to get a new tire. And I guess she thought that was like the biggest thing in the world for this guy to, get her a new tire. And, to me, that was nice. But a lot of times when women are not used to a man spending money on them, it would when a man finally do something, that would be like the say all be all to a woman, like, oh, this is such a big deal. This man did XYZ. And in my opinion, a real man, like, he's gonna offer to do some things like this anyway, especially if this man is your husband. But so the man ends up paying for her tire. He told multiple lies in the beginning. This was right around the time of COVID. So after 2 weeks of them talking on the phone, she decides to move this man into her house because she wants to quarantine with this man. Now, number one, you say, and this is not me judging her because you can tell she's a really sweet woman. She has a very sweet spirit. She's very smart, but a lot of times when we come in contact with men that we like, that we're attracted to, a lot of common sense, a lot of times it goes out the door. I've even been guilty of it. But number one, she talks about being a woman of God. And for me, she lets this man move into her house because she decides she wants to quarantine with this man. This is after 2 weeks of knowing this man. I don't care if you guys have been on the phone 24 hours a day for 2 weeks. A man moving into your house, that's a serious thing. And so that was her going ahead of God. She said she did kind of beat herself up, saying she would never move in with a guy. She would never shack up with a guy. She would never live with a man if they were not married. The minute she decided to let that man move into her home, that was her coming into agreement with the enemy. And that provided an open door, an open portal for all these other things to happen that actually happened with this man. And so, again, we cannot jump ahead of God. We cannot do that. And like I said, even things, I'll have to go back. I should have wrote some things down, but even when she first met him, it was just things that did not make sense. And like she said, if she would have did just a little bit of research, she could have avoided so much. But a lot of times, like I said, as women, we get caught up. Common sense goes out the door because we want this man. And so, like I said, that was a huge mistake for her to move this man into your home. You don't know who this man is. Like I said, talking on the phone for 2 weeks, that is not enough to be saying, okay, this is the man, I'm gonna move him into my home. So another thing that blinded her was the fact when the man moved in, she stated that she was living check to check. She was living check to check. He decided he was going to pay all the bills. Number one, never let a man pay everything for you, because now not only are you guys playing house, but now You're blinded by money. You're just happy that you don't have to live check to check anymore. You get to blow your money, you get to save your money. So now you're dependent on this man that's not your husband, and you're blinded by money because you feel like you have some relief now. You no longer have to live check to check. So that was a huge mistake. She was blinded by money because she said she was living check to check. Now, just to sidetrack for a little bit, I think it was a couple days ago, there was a lot of people on TikTok asking questions about these videos, and so she wanted to provide answers. So the man, he ended up lying, basically saying that he was a vice president of a company in Atlanta, or a vice president in a certain area of a company, which I have never heard of anything like that. I've heard of someone being a vice president of a company, but I've never heard of anyone being a vice president of a particular department within a company. I mean, I could be wrong, but I've never heard of anything like that. And so, excuse me. And so she did this follow up video a few days ago. It was found out in her original video that this man was not a vice president, but he was a forklift driver. And so somebody asked her a couple days when she was doing this Q&A session, I guess you can call it, would you have still dealt with this man if you found out that he was only a forklift driver and not a vice president of a company, but if he was a forklift driver and he had no money? She said no, because he would have been considered unstable. Now, I'm not on this man's side because it's very clear that this man had some mental issues. He was a pathological liar. All like the type of lies he told, it was insane. And it's clear that it's probably something clinically wrong with him. But for you to make the statement that no, you would not talk to this man if he was just a forklift driver because he's considered unstable, to my recollection, you said that you were living paycheck to paycheck. And again, I have nothing against this woman. I take my hat off to her for her putting her story out here to give other women a heads up on things to look at when it comes to men. But for you to say you would not, you basically, you would not date a man that would have an average job, or didn't, or a man that did not have a high level position. You would not date a man that just had an ordinary job like a forklift position, because he's considered unstable. But here it is, you said you were living check to check. So if you're a woman that's living check to check, technically you're unstable as well. So my thing behind that, women have to we're living in a different time right now. It's not like it was back in the day where you can meet a man that's making all this money or whatever the case may be, and he's just going to take care of you and you can go shop. It's a very different time right now. You, for the most part, you can't even find those kind of men. And I mean, if it's God's will for you to have a man like that, you will have a man like that. But I'm just saying the times are very different right now. It's very different. And so I really didn't understand that comment, because it's almost like, are you looking for love, or are you looking for what a man can financially do for you? So again, she was blinded by money. And again, once she decided to let this man move into her home, she opened the door for all types of things, including deception, including being blinded by money, all these different things that you could have avoided. Most importantly, you had a conversation with God, and you mentioned that you became desperate. You just wanted it to be your time, and God had given you the signs over and over for you to get rid of this man. Once you found out that he was lying, you out of all the frustration that you went through with finding out lie after lie after lie after lie, you willingly let him continue to lie to you. And so it's almost like you fed into everything that you knew was wrong that he was doing. So I do this video and I say all of this, and I may come back and make a part two, but I'm just making mention of some things that stood out for me. I'm saying all of this because, like I just said in the last video, you cannot rush love. You cannot go ahead of God. God is always going to go and give us the signs. Even if you found the one that you feel like is your kingdom spouse, you should be going on a fast. You should be praying. You should be fasting with the person. In the beginning stages, outside of him lying about his parents being pastors, I never heard the woman talk about them going to church together, about them fasting, praying together. God was nowhere in the mix. So again, you eliminated God from every piece of your so-called love story, and you open the door to the enemy. So God is not going to bless something that you know doesn't have his name on it. He's not going to bless, basically he's not going to bless any mess. And at the end of the day, that's exactly what that was. So again, I don't judge this woman. I hope everybody learned something from her situation. It certainly took me back to a few relationships that I had been in when I was younger, like in my 20s. And so when she talked about some of those things, I could relate. I had thought about some months ago putting out some of my personal stories about things that I had been through in my past relationships. And I don't know, I'm going to have to be led by God with that. When it's time, I will. But I just say, guys, take your time. If they have a saying, if you go to God and he doesn't give you an answer, then that's a no. If he says yes, then that's a yes. If he doesn't say anything at all, then that's a no. And that's kind of somewhat how I've been looking at my situations when I go to God. If I don't hear from him, it's almost like, okay, I know not to move, or I'm going to continue to pray until I hear something, or usually God will give me something in a dream. But again, I know there are a lot of you guys out there that want to get married, that are waiting for these kingdom marriages to come together. But if you have not listened to this woman's story, I urge you this weekend to make it your business to listen to her story, because everybody can get something from this story. Um, while it was a very entertaining story, as she mentioned, this was a very real situation. And unfortunately, this woman, she was traumatized by the things that she went through with this man, but a lot of this could have been avoided if she would have just put God first. But because she, as she mentioned several times, she became desperate. She wanted it to be her time. She felt like, everybody else around her were getting married and having kids. And this is all the stuff that I have dealt with. I'm sure a lot of you guys have been dealing with and feeling. It's not even worth it at the end of the day. People can save themselves so much heartache if you just follow what God has for you. For you to say, that, this is not God. You knew that this wasn't the man for you. And once God bless you with something, he's not going to add confusion. He's not going to give you a spouse that's going to lie on you, that's going to lie to you, that's going to cheat on you, that's going to gaslight you, and all these different things. That is not the spirit of God, but it is the spirit of the enemy. And the fact that you will keep dealing with this, you're coming into agreement with what this person is doing. You're co-signing what this person is doing. So again, I urge you guys just to wait on God. Wait on God. Do not try to jump ahead of him because of the worldly things that you see, because of what you think a man has and what you think he can do for you. God can do 10 times more, 100 times more, a million times more. And if he is truly a man from God, God is going to bless him abundantly. And when he blesses that man, that means you're going to be attached to that blessing. But God is never going to bless a mess, or there's nothing good that can come from a situation where there's manipulation involved and XYZ. So basically, like I said, she took God out of everything. She basically replaced God with this man, and this man was sent directly from the enemy. So once again, guys, wait on God. I cannot urge that enough. Wait on God. He knows the best for you. He knows what he wants for you. What he wants for you is the best for you. Is better than what you want for yourself. Wait on God. Do not rush the plan. Do not rush marriage. Even if you know who your kingdom spouse is, do not rush it, because God is preparing your spouse. And when your spouse comes back, when they come back, or when you meet them for the first time, they're going to be 10 times better than the person that they used to be. But God has to do a work in them, whether you know them or not. I cannot say that enough. Do not rush love. This is exactly what this woman did. And unfortunately, she was put through hell because of it, because she took God out of the plan and she tried to become God. She made this man God, and she was faced with a lot of heartache and hell behind it. So I would love to know what you guys think. If you've seen the story, please feel free to comment down below in the comment section. If you have not watched it, please watch it this weekend. I promise you, you guys are going to get something from this, both men and women. And because of this, more people are coming forth. There's a second woman that has come out with her story, and I'll probably do that in another video. Her series was much shorter, but I'll kind of just touch on some things in terms of a review of what I thought about her situation. I may also do a part two review for Risa Tisa, because it was a lot with that. It was like a basically out of 50, I think it was like 52 videos that ended up being almost a 8 hour a 8 hour episode, almost an 8 hour show basically, because it was in two parts. But definitely check it out. Let me know what you guys think, and just wait on God, guys. That's all that I can say. This is your girl Jennifer Lynn, the Crown Jewel, and I will talk with you guys next time.